Who is our friend? I mean, basically, it all comes down to money and politics. Consider this. In the past month, a group of radical Islamic extremists based in the Middle East have beheaded at least 23 people, and they've enforced a ban on Christianity by arresting a group of people for practicing the faith in their private home. Now, I am not talking about ISIS, but it's the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and one of America's closest global allies. Now, of course, the West, they want to hype up their anti-Christian bigotry and their humanitarian issues when it suits them and their status quo message. But the true driver of U.S. foreign policy can be summarized with just two words: corporate profits. Now, just look at some of these headlines. Saudi Arabia passes new law that declares atheists as terrorists. Meet the U.S. allies. Saudi Arabia passes draconian medieval laws to crush dissent. Saudi man receives 3-year prison sentence and 450 lashes for being gay. Saudi human rights lawyer and activist jailed for 15 years for free speech under new anti-terror law. And of course, what's all in the news right now is the 2 congressmen pushing for the release of a 28-page document showing Saudi involvement in 9/11, and of course the ties to the Bush family as well. Now, this article is reporting that 28 people were rounded up Friday by hardline Islamists in the region, and this was all for practicing Christianity in the privacy of a home. There are millions of Christians in that region, but Saudi Arabia is the only nation state in the world with the official policy of banning all churches. This is enforced even though there are over 2 million Christian foreign workers in that country. Saudi Arabia doesn't tolerate public worship by any other religion other than Islam, and they systematically discriminate against its Muslim religious minorities. They don't allow political or human rights associations, and despite all of that, Human Rights Watch notes that Saudi Arabia is a key ally of the U.S. and European countries. The U.S. didn't publicly criticize any Saudi human rights violations except through annual reports, and some members of the U.S. Congress have expressed skepticism about Saudi's policy priorities, but the U.S. concluded a $60 billion arms sale to Saudi Arabia, which is its largest anywhere to date. Now, this is from the Washington Post, and you can see in the article right there, Secretary of State John Kerry meeting with the U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Now, they say that long an incubator of the Salafist ideology that is now inflaming the Islamic State and militant groups like it. The kingdom has grown increasingly concerned with the destabilizing chaos that IS has wrought in their region. So they basically share the same ideology. But this doesn't mean that its state ideology is necessarily changing. The country is notorious for its draconian laws, which are derived from a strict Wahhabist interpretation of Islamic doctrine. Saudi Arabia is conspicuous in being the sole country to regularly carry out beheadings. Beyond the grisliness of the method of punishment, observers are also point to the unjust ways in which those who face death penalties are found guilty, saying the execution of people accused of petty crimes and on the basis of confessions that are extracted through torture has become shamefully common in Saudi Arabia. But here we have Secretary of State John Kerry right there, walking right alongside our closest ally, one of our closest global allies. It's not about humanitarian issues. Here we're pointing out that Saudi Arabia is more extreme than ISIS. They've beheaded more people than the 2 journalists that we've seen in the videos that ISIS has released. But Saudi Arabia is our closest ally, and it all comes down to money, corporate profit, and greed. And perhaps, of course, that's why John McCain was trying to spin his visit with ISIS last year, where we had pictures where he was like hand in hand with the extremists there, because he's basically saying to know these extremists and to have met with ISIS, that's a good thing. Any potential presidential candidate should be able to claim that they have met with terrorists, much like Secretary of State John Kerry is meeting with them in Saudi Arabia, because our closest allies are there helping us in our reign of terror across the globe. Now, coming up, Paul Joseph Watson is going to be joining me via Skype to break down this story around McCain as well as many others. And of course, the threat of Ebola requiring boots on the ground. Stay with us.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. Celebrate the spirit of 1776 with the George Washington brass belt buckle or this incredibly sharp-looking 1776 hat. Badass. And be sure to check out the new arrivals at InfoWars Life, where you can prepare your body to perform at peak levels with Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine, Super Male Vitality, and Fluoride Shield. And wake up, America. Immune Support Blend is the healthy choice for the gourmet coffee lover. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.